China is the biggest player right now. Besides Russia, China's the next biggest player that he's kind of pushing the envelope with. Like, they have stated clearly that by 2030, there's going to be a reunification of Taiwan. The U.S. has a very strict kind of stance in some ways. They have a lot of money invested in it, although they are divesting from Taiwan and building their own chip plants here stateside. So I'm curious, like, will these extreme threats or extreme positions that Trump is taking work with the president of China, or is it going to be similar to what's happening with Russia, in your
I
opinion?
think Donald Trump will find that China is every bit resistant to these bullying tactics as Russia is. China is actually in the driver's seat in many of these issues. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, I always find it curious that, he said before Trump was elected that, he said, I've sat in on the war games at the Pentagon and I know what happens every time we try to fight China over Taiwan, we lose. We don't have the military capacity to win. And so, one of the things that Trump has been talking about is disentangling ourselves from Europe, disentangling ourselves from the Middle East, being able to pivot over to the Pacific to have more capacity in the Pacific. But this will take time. But now that he is the Secretary of Defense, there's some very bellicose commentary come out of him about how we're going to defend Taiwan. Well, last time I checked, the United States has a one China policy, which means that we agree that Taiwan is part of China. But we want to make sure that the integration takes place in a way that's respectful of the people of Taiwan. But at the end of the day, a one China policy means just that, a one China policy. And what it appears is that Trump continues the same political gamesmanship that has existed since the creation of the one China policy, which is we say one China, but we actually support Taiwanese independence. But we can't do that directly because we have this agreement that's supposed to mollify the Chinese. China's not playing that game. They won't allow an independent Taiwan, and they are prepared now to do what is necessary to ensure that Taiwan will always be part of China. They would prefer to do this peacefully, but they're willing and able to use military force. And as Pete Hegseth knows, that once China commits the military force to defeat Taiwan, there's nothing the United States can do about it short of a general nuclear exchange, which is not, I don't believe, is the direction the United States would go, at least initially. So, I think it's ridiculous for us to be talking about military confrontation with China. It's counterproductive, and it could just lead to embarrassment. We should be talking about, if we want to confront China, it should be economic confrontation designed to try to level the playing field. And we see, to give you an example, the Panama Canal. There's two ports there. They aren't part of the canal proper, but they're ports through which much of the shipping goes through. And these were owned by a Hong Kong company. And Trump, working with BlackRock, engineered a deal where BlackRock would buy, I think it's 40 ports in 23 countries, including these two ports. But what's interesting, most of the ports that they're buying are ports that were part of the Belts and Roads Initiative, which is China's big infrastructure, global infrastructure plan that gives China the inside track on supply chains and things of that nature. And here you have a situation where BlackRock is going in and trying to erode the Belts and Roads Initiative. And I think we've just seen what the future of the conflict between the United States and China will be, that we are going to seek to dismantle Belts and Roads Initiative, especially in the Pacific Theater, to assert American economic control over various places, and to try and compete with the Chinese in terms of supply chains and protect our own supply chains, et cetera. So I think that's the nature of the conflict. It's going to be an economic conflict The degree to which it will involve tariffs, again, I'm not an economist, so I can't speak to you know, the value of a tariff war with China. But I do believe that since that seems to be the tool that Trump is buying onto, that we are going to see a tariff war, trade war with China. But we have to be careful because China can ultimately, China, I believe, can collapse the American economy quicker than America can collapse the Chinese economy. I don't think China wants to collapse the American economy because there would be great harm to China. But we have to be careful how we proceed with China because they do hold a lot of the cards. Even this BlackRock deal right now, the Chinese are subjecting it to a regulatory review. And the Chinese have indirect cards. For instance, in Panama, even though the Panamanian president has agreed to this to end Belts and Roads Initiative, the Attorney General has found that the original concession given to the Hong Kong company was unconstitutional, and now they're moving, and this could tie up BlackRock's acquisition, and so we're entering a brave new world. I mean, there hasn't been an economic war of the on the scope and scale and with the complexity that exists, between the United States and China. There's never been anything like this. We're entering into a brave new world, and therefore, my normal analytical templates that I use, they don't apply because I don't have any. I don't think anybody has an analytical template for this one to predict an outcome. I just watch it with great interest.